The Girl from Ipanema is a beloved jazz standard by Antonio Carlos Jobim, and lots of people like to play this song. It has a beautiful melody, but the bridge is really complicated to understand. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over a full-on chords analysis of the bridge of The Girl from Ipanema so we can understand it better and therefore play this song better. That's coming right up. What's up, Brent here from LearnJazzStandards.com, which is a blog, a podcast, and videos all geared towards helping you become a better jazz musician. Make sure you subscribe at the button below, hit the bell notification button to never miss out on anything going on here. So I'm going to be going over my chords analysis of The Girl from Ipanema. I'm not going to be going the A section, just the B section today. This comes straight out of my ebook and companion course, by the way, called the Jazz Standards Playbook Volume 2, where I do a full-on study of this tune as well as 9 other jazz standards. So I'll go ahead and leave that up in the card and in the description below for you to check that out. But today, really the most complicated part of The Girl from Ipanema is the bridge, and it's really confusing to understand. So I go over my theory, and I would love for you to be thinking about what is your theory of the chords analysis of the bridge. I'm going to be showing you mine, but I would love to hear from you as well, what you think is the best way to think about these chords. All right, so I'm going to be taking this little clip from my companion course of the Jazz Standards Playbook Volume 2, and let's go ahead and check that out. We just resolve here with the F major 7. Now, there's one thing I want to point out here in this bar is this little note I have here that says chromatic ascending root movement starts. This is very, very important to my analysis of the bridge, so take note of that. Chromatic ascending root movement starts. Now, the bridge. I did a lot of research on this bridge, and a lot of people are saying a lot of different things about how to analyze the harmony here because it's a little bit funky. And, you know, honestly, helping us understand this bridge will help us improvise over it better. I 100% believe that. We'll talk about that with the improv lesson, which hopefully you've already checked out. But this really applies to understanding harmony, figuring out an easy way to look at it. Can really help us become better jazz improvisers. But this being said, there are multiple different ways to look at this. I heard multiple different theories in my research. Ultimately, it always comes down to this. Antonio Carlos Jobim wrote a transposing melody. All he did is in bar 11 here, he went a half step up, chromatic ascending root movement, right? He went from F to F sharp. Okay, so he was here, and then he went to F sharp major 7, right? And the melody does this. Right? That's what the melody does. Okay, now check out in bar 15, we have F sharp minor 7. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. Now it sounds like this. Same exact melody, right? Up here. Now up here. That's the exact same melody. Now check this out. Bar 19, we have a G minor here. And notice that that's a chromatic half step up from F sharp minor, by the way. And it sounds like this. Exact same melody, right? So really, do I think that Antonio Carlos Jobim was thinking about all these interesting harmonic theories and all this stuff? No, I just think that he wrote a melody line and he transposed it. So ultimately, and I've said this before in this book and in these videos, context is important, and also the melody is important when we're looking at these jazz standards. Sometimes it's not always about the composer thinking this chord goes here and this chord goes here and this chord goes here. It's more like, here's a melody, let's make some chords to fit around it. I'm 95% sure that's what Antonio Carlos Jobim was thinking. But that being said, let's try to figure out how this bridge is working from a harmonic standpoint. Okay, so I'm color coding this red because we're in F sharp major 7 now, right? Remember the color coding. So F sharp major 7 is our new 1 chord, okay? We went up a half step, chromatic ascending root movement there. Okay, then we hit a B7. Now, I analyze this as a 4-7 chord. Now, remember, we've talked about in the past that that 4-7 chord is really coming from the blues, right? That's from blues harmony. Now, again, there's people that would argue different ways to understand this chord. I personally am going to, really, this is the fundamental basis of my analysis of the bridge, a 1-4 relationship, a 1-4 relationship. This bar right here, 11, 12, 13, 14, sets the precedent of a 1-4 relationship. And if we keep that in mind for all the other transpositions coming up, it's going to be really easy to understand what's happening here, in my opinion. Okay, so a 1-4 relationship, right? F sharp to B is a perfect fourth interval, right? Now, normally in a major key, that would be a B major 7, right? But it's a B dominant 7, so nice bluesy sound. It sounds great with the melody, right? I mean, it just wouldn't sound as hip if it was a major 7 chord, quite frankly. So we have a 1-4 dominant 7 relationship here. Now check this out. Let's take a look here. We have this F sharp minor 7 right here. So basically we took this F sharp major 7 and turned it into an F sharp minor 7. There's the 9 in the melody, right? So what's happening here? Are we moving to the parallel minor, right? We've talked about the parallel minor a lot in this book. No, we're not moving to the parallel minor. I'll tell you why. Okay, parallel minor. Let's look what's going on here. If this was the parallel minor, is this going to be a 4 chord right here? Well, it's not. What is D7? Before we talk about the parallel, like if this is a parallel minor or not, let's figure out what D7 is doing, okay? This is really important. Context is key, everybody. Context is key. F sharp minor 7 and D7, I don't see the relationship there. Harmonically, I just don't see the relationship working there. That's definitely not a 1-4, right? That's not it. We'll talk about my analysis in a second. But looking forward ahead here at bar 19, one great function of this D7 chord is it's the 5 chord of G minor 7 here in bar 19. So we have this D7 chord that's going down to this G minor 7 chord here. So it's functioning that way. So that's an interesting function to talk about here. However, let's look ahead, a little bit further ahead here, and let's see what the relationship between the G minor 7 and the E flat 7 is. And once again, I'm not seeing it. I mean, how does that work? G minor 7 to E flat 7. I don't see the harmonic relationship. There's not something diatonic there for me to latch onto, and we need to understand this chord progression diatonically. But I do notice that here in bar 15 and here in bar 19 that it's the same chords here. We have a minor 7th chord and then this dominant 7 chord. So we got to figure this out. Now, because in bar 11 we started with this precedent of a 1-4 relationship, what I'm doing here is I'm applying that same concept. I want a 1-4 relationship. So if this is the 4 chord, if D7 is a 4 chord, stick with me here. You're gonna understand this. If this is a 4 chord, what's the 1 chord gonna be? It's gonna be A major, right? And that makes a lot of sense. Well, guess what? F sharp minor 7 is the relative minor of A major 7. So F sharp minor 7 is the 6th chord. And we know that the 6th chord is a substitute chord, right? They share the same note. We call it the relative major and minor because they share the exact same notes with each other, right? They share the exact same notes. So for me, this makes more sense to call it a 6 of A major, and it substitutes for the 1 chord. So we have an F sharp minor to D7, but really, we're just dealing with the same 1-4. That's an A major 7 I'm playing right now. To D7. That makes so much more sense to me. So then the next logical question is, well, then why did Antonio Carlos Jobim did that? Comes right back up to here. Chromatic ascending root movement starts. We have F major 7. That's the parent tonic of this entire song. Then moves up a half step to F sharp major 7. Okay, but the melody provides that we would jump up to A major 7. Well, that's not chromatic movement. F sharp major 7, he turns it into a minor 7. He moves up another half step
to G minor 7 here. So you see the ascending chromatic movement. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful stuff here. So that's why I believe the relative minor is being used. So again, this is just my theory. I think that this is still a 1-to-4 relationship here. We're just substituting the 6th chord for the 1 chord. So the 6th chord of A major is F sharp minor 7. And the reason I really think this is because we move down to bar 19, right? Here in green, that's G minor. Or I'm sorry, it's B flat major, if that's what it stands for, B flat major. And the reason I think it's B flat major is, well, this E flat 7 here, what's the 4 chord? Let's just assume that this is another 1-to-4 relationship. E flat 7 is the 4 chord, so what is the 1 chord? It's B flat major 7, right? Same relationship. And guess what? G minor 7 is the 6th chord of B flat major, okay? G minor is the relative minor to B flat major. That just makes so much sense to me. So it's, again, a 6 of B flat major. It substitutes for the 1. Okay, now this is where the chromatic ascending root movement ends right here, right? It ends there. So you have this beautiful chromatic moving bass notes moving up. And it almost sounds like for a second like, oh, we're going to the parallel minor here. But if you really analyze the rest of this chord progression, to me, we're still doing a 1-to-4 relationship. Again, there could be other ways to look at this, and I know there is. While I was researching them, there was definitely other ways to look at this. To me, this is the one that makes the most sense. It makes the most sense because we set the precedent here in bars 11, 12, 13, and 14 of a 1-to-4 relationship. And then I just see it happen again. A 1-to-4 relationship, we just substitute the 1 for the 6, and then down here again, we have a 1-to-4 relationship, we just substitute the 6 for the major 1 chord. Does that make sense? Okay, I hope that all makes sense. If not, get back into your book and really read. I really did a good job of building my case here for my analysis. Ultimately, I always try to look for the easiest way to look at things, especially if it's this complex. But again, let's take a whole huge step back. If all this is a lot for you to understand here, remember that Antonio Carlos Jobim wrote a melody that transposed. Right? Same melody. Right? That's the way I look at it, all right? Same melody. So put some chords in there and this chromatic movement, I think it's brilliant.
All right, so hope you found that helpful. Like I said, this is just my theory of how the bridge can be understood. Would love to hear from you. How do you understand the chords of the Girl from Ipanema in the bridge? Go ahead and fill the comments with as many theories as possible. Really fun to learn from each other and just hear what other people think. So leave your comment in the comment section below. Again, if you want a full-on study of the Girl from Ipanema and 9 other standards with improv lessons and chords analysis and a lot of other resources, go to the Jazz Standards Playbook 2.com to go ahead and check that out. All right, that's all for today's video. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you want another chords analysis, I'll have another video of a great jazz standard that you can check out as well on the screen right now. So go ahead and check out that video next if you would like. And I'll see you in the next video.